everybody. It's Alana here. How are you all doing? I just realized that I said I was going live at 6, and in my head I was going live at 6:30. So here I am, though a little bit late. Hi Deb, how are you? Sorry for the delay in getting here. That's kind of embarrassing. I'm just going to bring up the video on my end and just make sure my volume is down. Hi Miri, Ramona and Janet. I'm good when I have my head on straight anyway. All right, so I have a card today to show you guys. It's one of the sale bundles I've already showed you. I was actually going to show you a second version when I thought it was coming at 6:30, but I'll show you guys that one tomorrow. I'll finish it and show it to you then instead of now. So this card is actually one that a team member of mine made, very similar. So it's Case of Team Member Day, and I don't have a photo of hers or the actual because it was slightly different, but I'm going to make this one for you guys, and then I have a couple of techniques within this to show you. So we will get started. Does anyone have this bundle? This one is the Quiet Meadow bundle. So I'll show you guys this one again. It uses the Meadow dies. I did actually use some of the stamps today. The other day when I used this one, I didn't use the stamps other than the greeting. But today I do have some stamping on this one. And then tomorrow maybe I will get to come back and show you the other version. I had another version in the portrait orientation I wanted to show you guys. So this one here is a fold like this, and then on the inside I've got some stamping. So I'm going to show you guys how to do a partial embossing so that you can leave a flat section, and then I'll show you how I got this neat little panel on the front. Have you guys done a card like this before? Let me know if you've tried one out like this. So the Quiet Meadow stamp and the Meadow dies are on sale as a bundle this month for $64.75. I was telling you guys the other day that I feel like these dies, even if you don't have die stamps, are a really great set of standalone dies, just with all of the little foliage that you get with it. You can use the die cuts in the colors just as they are, or texture them. You could put, I think Nemi, I don't know if I said who it was Nemi, who is the team member that I cased this from. I believe she put Wink of Stella on this die cut here. Hers was slightly different, but she had some Wink of Stella on there and it looked really pretty. So that would be something that you could add as well. So I'm going to show you guys how to make this card. Does anyone have this on their wish list? Let me know if you guys are after these ones. We do have some draws to do as well, but in my little flurry to come on at 6 instead of 6:30, well, it was like 6:15. Ryan came in and he's like, "Aren't you supposed to be live?" I said, "No, not till 6:30. He's like, "No, I think you're supposed to be at 6. It's a good thing he knows what I'm supposed to be doing." And then Ethan said, "No, it's at 7. Indeed, it was supposed to be 6. So anyhow, hi, Joanne. Sandy, you said you have it and you have done this one. You're right. It is the same size of paper as a regular card base. So I'm going to show you guys how to get the card base first. And it starts off as your 4 1/4 by 11-inch base. Blame it on the time change. Hey, that's a good idea. Although I have to admit that I don't usually get very affected by time changes other than losing time. Like, of course, we could all use more time in a day, but thankfully we've been pretty lucky. I probably should be quiet about that around here, but we've been pretty lucky in the way that our kids have never been super thrown off, nor have we. So I should probably just be quiet about that. All right, so with the card base here, I'll lay this out and show you guys. This portion that we're going to cut off the end becomes this panel right here. So this one is, just got to measure it to tell you guys. it is 3 inches, this panel. So what I want to do is cut 3 inches off the end. So I'll do that first. So just put this end here into your cutter. You've got 3 inches. And then you can see here, this will become this panel here. I'm not actually completely sure if that is how Nemi did her card or not, but after I cut off this portion, I realized, oh, well, that would make the panel here, and you make perfect use out of your 4 1/4 by 11 piece of paper. Your dog is horrible at the time change. I actually have heard people say that their dogs still wake them up at some silly hour to be fed, or the cats. Maybe it's our sleepless ways that everybody's just so tired that we can sleep anyway. Now with this leftover piece, or the main piece, I want to score this at 5 1/2. There we go. So we have the 4 1/4 piece, and it is, I guess, 5 1/2 by, I believe it is by 8. So then this will burnish. So we have that, and then this. So you can see that's the base of the card. I also have a piece of the Misty Moonlight DSP stack. That's the wrong piece. That's the offcut. And this one here, I cut a 4-inch piece, and then I want to cut this at 2 1/4. So I just want to make sure that's my 4-inch direction, and I'll flip this and cut at 2 1/4. So that will become this panel here. Now this is just left over. I can use that for something else. This is my favorite pattern of DSP. Do any of you guys have these DSP stacks? This is my absolute favorite. I love that plaid. I'll show you I've got these colors here for the portrait version of this card. So I'll have to come back and show you guys that one, hopefully tomorrow. Now I have a 4 by 5 1/4 piece that will line the inside of the card here, but I don't want to emboss the whole thing. I wanted a little bit of extra detail. I found that it was, I don't know, I just wanted, Nemi did some stamping on hers, and I wanted to add texture. So I knew that I wanted to leave a portion of the inside to stamp. I had actually already done the stamping, and I just wanted it embossed right up to here. So I'll emboss it this time first before stamping, and I'll show you guys what I did there. So I just put this down. This is in place. So I took a pencil and I made a little mark. So I have this mark here, and I have my brick and mortar embossing folder. So I'm going to take that, and I want this side embossed. So I'm going to flip that side into the cutter, or into the folder, sorry, and I'm actually going to do it from the back because I want to hide that pencil mark on the back. And I'm lining that pencil line right up to where the pattern of the embossing folder ends. So there's about 1/8 of an inch here that the texture stops at. So I'm lining that up right to where the pattern ends. And then I'm going to go run this through my machine. As an extra measure, I'm also, actually I'll bring my machine right in here so you guys can see what I'm doing. That'll be a little bit easier. There we go. So as an extra measure, when I put this on my platform, I am only going to put this plate up to where the sandwich ends. So that way, if I don't put it over here, then I'm less likely to get any texture pressed into this here. So then you can just give that a push. Sorry, my arm's in the way. You just have to get the sandwich to catch and have it fly across the table on the other end. And then here, you can see where the pencil line's right here. That is where my texture ended. And then I've got the texture on the front here. So if you want to do just a partial embossing, that is how you can do that. You can also do partial die cutting that way, where you just cut up to a certain point. But it's a little bit easier when you're just doing partial embossing than partial cutting. All right, so now this is going to end up inside, but first I want to do this little stamp on here. And I think this time I'll go a little bit lower because on the first one, this was an afterthought. So knowing that I don't have a lot of room to write, I'm just going to bump this down, but you could also line this section here with another piece of white so that you could write on that part of the card instead. So I've got just a scrap sheet. I want to protect my work surface because I'm going to ink this up and stamp over the bottom. An embossing stylus, that's smart. And then you know where to put that mark up to. Kitty is doing a lot better, but her poor little paws are all now just pink. Her pads are black usually, and they're now all just a light pink. And she's doing okay though. She did not learn her lesson. Some people said, oh, she won't do that again. I'm like, no, she won't learn from that. Sure enough, yesterday she ran outside, but she only took about 3 steps into the snow and then must have realized that it is pretty sensitive on her paws. So she turned around and came back. All right, so now I've inked this up with Night of Navy, if anyone was wondering that. And I will stamp this lower down here to give me more room. And I hope I didn't just put a halo on there. No, I didn't. Okay, phew. Do you guys ever do that? Panic for a second. And I purposely offset that one so that it was hanging over the edge. So now we've got a pretty little spot on the bottom corner, but still a little bit of room to write. So this one's kind of good if you don't need to write a lot, but if you want to write some more, just line the inside there. Okay. Now I'll just get the rest of the elements ready before I assemble. So I'm going to move these ones over. I have a piece of balmy blue that I textured in advance with the Tasteful Textile, but I also wanted to add a little bit more detail. Don't mind my larger piece here. This mat here is, it's not glossy. It's got a matte finish on it, and I don't want the blends to spatter on here because I can't wipe them off of there with it having the matte finish. So I'm just protecting my work surface a little bit more. Sometimes I use the glossy mat and sometimes I use this one. If I'm doing a video and I'm not doing anything really messy, I'll use this one just to help avoid glare. So that's my reason for this. I'll put those away. And then now that's got just a little bit of extra detail there. This one is, that marker was the Misty Moonlight. So for those of you who like the in colors, we know that they're going to retire the Misty Moonlight collection, the collection that has Misty Moonlight in it. So Misty Moonlight, Bumblebee, the spatter was Misty Moonlight, Ramona, the Misty Moonlight blends, but Night of Navy would work really well, especially if we start to go low stock on the in colors. So the in colors that are retiring, I'll just grab them really quick to show you guys. I know that at this moment, the cinnamon cider refill is not available. Earlier today and yesterday, the rest of them were, but cinnamon cider was not. So this color collection here is the color collection that is retiring. We will see the retiring list on March 23rd as demonstrators, and inevitably, whenever that list comes out, all of the in colors start to retire really quickly, even though we know they're going to go in advance. So my recommendation, whether you're a demonstrator or whether you are a customer, if you like these colors and there's something that you want from them, I wouldn't delay. You would want to get those now. I forgot to add myself some of this paper, and I'm going to have to put in an extra order. I forgot that, and I forgot a couple of other things. And that's my favorite pattern, so I want to make sure I get some more. If it's not already sold out, I sure hope not. I think I saw a question there. Thanks, Tammy. No, I think we're good. If I missed a question, please don't hesitate to ask again. Can you say the names? Yes, thanks. So we have Cinnamon Cider, Just Jade, Bumblebee, Magenta Madness, and Misty Moonlight. And these two are two of my favorites ever. I love Misty Moonlight and Just Jade. It is, I just love them. And so I don't have it handy, I don't think, the card that we are doing with Stamp Club this month in Grassy Grove, I'll find that before we're done, is done with just jade, and I love that color. I did order more of that today, but I will use a chunk of it for Stamp Club. Yeah, they're so great, aren't they, Ramona? Blue and green have always been sort of my go-to colors, so it's no surprise that I like those ones. And then the other version, the portrait version of this card I wanted to make for you guys, was going to use some Bumblebee with these colors here. So I'll have to bring that one back for you guys yet, but I wanted to use a little bit more of the in color. So then this is ready. I just need to set that aside and we'll stamp the greeting. This one is from Tasteful Labels. So that's this guy here. And I think I'm going to add some spatter to this one. I didn't on my first one, but I will for this one. Okay, so this is the Heartfelt Love and Caring Thoughts Are With You. That is from the Quiet Meadow stamp set. I'll show you guys that one again. And let's just hope I stamp this straight. They're your favorite colors too, Joanne? I mean, the other ones are okay, but I just love blue and green. They're the ones that I'm going to be sad about. They make me hope that we get a color renovation so that we will actually get to keep them. If you have been a customer of Stampin' Ups for a while, you guys may have lived through a color renovation in the past. So let me know, do you guys think that we are going to end up with a color renovation this year, or do you think that we're going to wait another year or two? And if we did get one, would you guys be happy about that or sad about that? We know that these 5 colors will go and that we'll get 5 new in colors, but what do you think about a color renovation? So this is the greeting that I used on there. My magnet sheets, Tracy, are actually, I know, Melissa, Pretty Peacock. I would be so happy if Pretty Peacock and Seaside Spray came back. That would just make my whole year. The magnet sheets are actually the backings from foil sheets. So when you buy foil sheets, you get this really sturdy cardboard in there. So I just save those and then I cut them to particular sizes. So this magnet you can get, we have a store here. It's a wholesale store where you can buy magnets on the roll. It's Gale's Wholesale. And it comes, I think, 24 or 26 inches wide. So then I just cut it down to fit these pieces. So I do them in 5x7 and 6x7, depending on what the, here, I'll find one that's a little bit larger. Here we go. So I do them the same height and then differing widths. So either 6 wide or 5 wide, I think is what I do for those. And they are very sturdy. You have Gales. Are you in Regina? You must be, because I think we have Gales in Winnipeg and Regina. So if you're in Regina, tell me, do you guys have storefront? Can you actually go in there, or is it online only there? So yeah, check there to see if they have it. This one actually has a white backing on it. I just don't bother to peel it off because it's not an adhesive back, it's just a backing on it. So I just leave it on and then I use Terran tape and I attach the magnet to the cardboard. And then I will show you one more step. I hope you guys don't mind this little distraction here, but I have these clear pockets that I put them in. So they just go into this clear pocket, and then I have them in a little wooden box, and then I can just flip through them in alphabetical order. Except for the ones that I use all the time, I have a little stand that is on my desk, and then I can just grab them. Like Tasteful Labels is one that just stays in there. I sure hope that doesn't retire. You guys will hear me sing a sad tune if they retire Tasteful Labels. All right, so next what I'll do is add a little bit of spatter here, and I am just checking a comment. You would not be happy in just starting to build your collection of the new pads. Oh, well, perhaps we'll have to hope that they don't switch out some colors. Okay, so I'm going to just spatter. This is Balmy Blue. There we go. That added a little something extra. I'll show you guys now the difference. So this one I did not spatter on, and then this one I did. So there's just a little bit of the balmy blue. Hopefully you can tell the difference. There. Now we can get rid of this mat. I'm happy to share the tips, Tammy. Anything that makes your guys' crafting lives easier. I learned some of them other places too, so I just feel like we should all share the knowledge. It's the same with casing for me. If somebody sees something and they want to make it, absolutely. That is the whole reason that I love to share, is to see you guys go ahead and be inspired to create too. So always, I know people like to ask. We have a demonstrator Facebook page, and people will ask sometimes, oh, is it okay if I case this? Absolutely, always. That is why I share, so that others will feel inclined to create too. I agree, Tracy. Okay, so now we have pretty much everything done. It's just assembly. So I'll show you guys what I did. You guys will probably know exactly what's coming here. I'm using some scissors to distress the edge. This time I won't do the layer this is going down onto because it is this flap layer. So I felt that I should just keep that one clean because these ones are clean. So that was my reasoning there. I will just use Tombow now and glue these together. I am getting to the end of this one. Might have to grab another one. I just did, whoopsie, doesn't that always happen? I just did a video tutorial. I'm going to lift some of that off there. Here's another tip for you guys. If this ever happens and you get too much glue there, I just grab, this is just a scrap of white, and spread that out. And I'm going to put some of that onto here now. So now it hasn't gone to waste, but I don't have too much on there. And now that little piece just went in the garbage. It just acts sort of like a spreader. There we go. Because otherwise you end up with it seeping out the sides and then it just makes a mess. And when you're at that point of your card, you don't want that to happen. And then here I've just got a, it's like causing a domino effect of little blobs of glue now ending up in places where I don't want them. There. Okay, so now we've got that piece on there. How about the DSP stacks? Do you guys collect those? And if you do you use them? Or are you too afraid to cut into them? Oh, sorry, there goes Ruby. You hear her barking. I don't know if you guys saw my story earlier, but I had that tutorial that I was telling you guys about. I had to get that done, and I wanted to get on the treadmill. So I wrote my tutorial while I was on the treadmill. That was about as fast as I could go while still being able to type. But Ruby sat at the gate at the top of the stairs waiting. And so she's been a little leech. I'm surprised she left the room, but she has wanted to be right beside me. Okay, so that 4 by 5 1/4 piece is lined on the inside now, and then with this one here I'm going to dimensional that to the front. So you've probably seen me do this before, but oh, I know, Deb, isn't that the thing? Sometimes when you have paper you really love, it is scary to cut into it, especially if you are a little nervous if your measurements are quite what you want them. So with this piece here, because we don't want to tape this shut, so we need to be careful where the dimensionals go behind here. So I like to flip this over. I'm centering it where I want it. And then I'll take my dimensionals and place them on here with this in place. So I know now, don't go past this Misty Moonlight edge of this flap, this piece here. If I put these dimensionals further over, it's going to tape my card shut. So just make sure they stay to the left of this Misty Moonlight line. And then that way, when we flip this over, we know that we're safe, our dimensionals are in the right spot, and they're not going to tape that card shut on us. Hi, Wendy and Angela. Thanks, guys, for joining me, especially with my goof up on that time. I'm going to go with that time change explanation, I guess. There we go. So now that's dimensionaled, and then this opens like that. I love this layout that Nemi did. All right, now we just need to dimensional this guy. On that one, I will actually cut some in half. Deb, we'll have you cutting into that DSP for the Waves Retreat. I'm not sure if Laura's here. I know we had said maybe we'd share a sneak peek of one card, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. So I better not just yet, but I told you guys the other day that I would try to do a landscape version of the Center Step easel card, and I did make one. It is the first one I made is going to be for our Waves Retreat. So now that's dimensional there. Odd question. If we donate cards for a charity event, do we need to... I would, just in case, if you've got one. And then, for example, we're doing the fundraiser for Cards for Ukraine, and they will be we're donating them to a store here in Winnipeg. I shouldn't skip that step. But we are donating them to a Ukrainian store here in Winnipeg, and he will be selling them, and then he will donate the funds that he makes off of them. So because he'll be selling them, then we do need to make sure that they are stamped. Tammy, I didn't even think to tell you that for the back of those cards, but we'll make sure the rest of them get stamped with that. And yes, the retreat is virtual. Thank you for asking that, Tracy. It's on April 2nd. So there is a, what's it called, all access pass option. If that interests you, you can purchase that, and then you get the tutorials in advance and you can prep your own supplies. Or we have the option where you get everything, the bundle and everything like that, the card kits with it. So now with this one here, I did not dimensional this just because it is so detailed. I probably could fussy cut some little ones and put them in there, but I just glue dotted this in place instead. So I'll put some little glue dots on the back there. So Sandy, are you donating cards that someone else will sell? Or just for people to use? I'm going to just make sure that I'm putting these in places where they will be overlapping the label or sitting on the label, because I don't want the glue dots overlapping any edges. Otherwise it'll cave that side down. I should have been more particular about thinking about that sooner, Tammy. It just didn't even cross my mind. So Sandy, thank you for asking that. I should think about that more often. I just don't often even sell my cards. That's terrible, but I don't often have time to make a lot of extras to do that, so I just don't. Now this is going to go on a little bit of an angle there, and I do need to put a little dot behind here. Otherwise that's going to fly away and bother me. Yes, I will. I'll reply to your comment when we get off live with the post with that information. Oh, that needs a dimensional. That will bother me under there. So rather than a glue dot, I need to reach in there with a little, I obviously positioned that one slightly differently. So I'm just reaching in here with a bit of a dimensional now, because that little glue dot is not okay. It's making that part stick down where I don't want it to. Do you guys do that as well? Please tell me I'm not the only one. Now I'm going to show you guys a little trick. I've probably done this for you guys before, but just in case. I have some white twine, and I wanted a fine bow. I didn't want it to be a nice thick bow. Aw. So what I did was I actually pulled some strands. That's probably not a surprise either. And I just grabbed two. This twine has 4 strands, I believe. I'm grabbing 2 anyway. So I'll grab 2 here. If my fingers could get a hold of 2. There we go. and I pulled the other 2. Yeah, it's 4. So I left 2 behind, but now I can get 2 bows. So here's a trick. If you are running low on twine and you have a lot of bows you need to tie, you can just split it and then have a nice fine bow and get double out of your twine. There we go. I cut this way too long, but that's okay. That'll make up for saving on my twine. Now I'm gonna waste it and cut the end off. There we go. And I like to do the ends with my ribbon scissors just because they are so nice at cutting a clean edge. So I'll glue dot that there. All right. Sorry, I was sidetracked reading comments there. So would you guys be interested to see the portrait version of this card if I can finish up the one with the bumblebee and gray? So that's there now. And then I just put some rhinestones on. Here's another trick for you guys. If you have a lot of rhinestones or a lot of embellishments and you've got lots of storage space on your shelves where you store your stamps, or shelving that is made to store the size of the cases, even if you don't like to keep them stored on the same shelf as your stamps, if you've got other shelves that will fit these cases, I like to put them in the clear cases. Usually they are labeled, but I'll show you. I just switched these ones. My labels need to be cleaned up. Actually, if you guys know of a good label maker, I would love to know. I need a new one. Mine is, you can see here, it's starting to not print very nicely. And I've put new cartridges in because when you put the cartridge in, it is just enough for the amount of tape that's on the roll. And it's not printing very well. So I need to get a new label maker, but I usually just put them into these clear mount stamp cases, which you can purchase. You don't have to take your stamps out of your cases. You can purchase these separately, and then I label them and then just put them on the same type of shelving as I have my stamps on. So I just need to get that new label maker so that I can label these, but I typically use, as you guys have heard me say, I use the smallest ones probably the most, or the middle ones, and then I end up with a ton of the largest ones, and then I'm rifling through all of these containers of, or one large container full of rhinestones, and I need certain sizes, but I've got almost all large ones. So I ended up dividing them so that I have large in one, the medium size in another, and the smallest in another. That way I know which container to grab, and that will be the only size in there. If you don't have that many of one size though, you can do like this, and here I actually have just like faceted gems and these pretty ones in one container. So resin dots, faceted gems. I actually took the resin dots out, so I do need to relabel this. Somebody had a question there. How do I label my blends? That's something I actually need to do. It's funny you ask. We found this document. It's from somebody in the UK, Stamp with Sarah. And she has these little Rococo Rose. Now this would be an older one because Rococo Rose and Pretty Peacock are on here. But maybe she even has an updated one. But we printed this and we accidentally did it just on regular paper. So we've reprinted it on white cardstock. And I just need to go and punch these out. And then you can put those on the end cap here of your markers. Oh, you have this one? So I need to do that because they're not labeled and sometimes they don't go back in the right spot. So yeah. All right, so I do need to put a couple of rhinestones on there. And for this, I will grab my take your pick tool. If you don't have one of these guys, you need to get this. This thing is amazing. So you can just swipe that bling off of there. I only need one of that size, so I can put that one away. And these ones are all on nicely on that sheet, so I'm going to leave that one there. Or you know what, I guess I will use those. I thought I had another partial sheet here, but I guess I used it. And then I'll tuck this one in here. There we go. And then that way I can just put these back on the shelf. And then everything sort of stays contained. Sort of. Until I get into making like 5 things at once, and then it explodes anyway. No matter what organizational tips I have in place. You want to label your blends, Janet? I'm just going to try to see if... Kathleen, is that the one that you meant? You have this printed in cardstock? Let me know if that's the one that you found is too small. They are really tiny, the print, but I don't know. I think I might be willing to give it a try. Before I punch them all out, though, I think I would go see if she's got an updated one. The Dymo label. I need to, that's what I have. I probably just need to get a new one, and it would serve its purpose. I just thought if there was... Which, Linda, if you don't mind letting me know which Dymo you have. I'll show you guys the one I have. The one that I have is just this thing here, but it's definitely not doing its job anymore. I had one and it wouldn't work at all, so I got that second one, and it didn't work very long before it started doing that. So I didn't ever clean this one up, so that's got to be trimmed off too. So that is today's card. I will finish the other one. You saw an updated one on Pinterest. Ramona, can you send me the link to that one? And I'll, if you just private message it to me, then I'll have a look at that and see what I think. All right. So I will come back and I'll show you guys the other one. What punch did I use? Not the best. That would be great. Thank you, Tracy. And I will post the information for the retreat. Yeah, if you guys don't all mind letting me know which label makers you use, and then message me information on blends labels, that would be amazing. And I will post the information for the retreat again. And once I know we're allowed to share, I cannot wait to show the front step easel in landscape version that I made for you guys with the waves of the ocean. I'm excited about it. The Matosu is updated list of blends. Awesome. I'll have to check theirs out. They are amazing. I actually just took a class with them last week, and can't wait to put some of their coloring tips into practice, and then I can show you guys that too. All right, well, that was lots of fun. I apologize that I was totally mixed up in when I was coming live today, but I'll get that other one done, and I will perhaps show that one to you guys tomorrow. How tomorrow is Wednesday already is beyond me. Also, before I go, because I do have another order to place, if anyone is interested in any of the in color stuff before it disappears, let me know. I know I've got to get myself more of this in color DSP. Oh, my fingers are crossed that it is still there. I'll have to go check when we get off live. Again, if you are interested in ordering directly online, you can use this host code. With a $65 order, you'll get a free gift from me, and with a $100 order, you'll get a free class in April. All right. Well, thank you guys all again. That was fun. I will be back tomorrow. I appreciate you guys all being here, and I have loved coming in the daylight hours. It's been great. Misty Moonlight's my favorite too. All right. We will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks again for joining me.